Back. Sorry.
You were live. Welcome to the Then and Now podcast. Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing? This is your boy C Diesel, aka Mr. Yellow Belly. Today we're gonna have another good conversation like usual. How my boys doing? My co-host, Mr. Lelouch, Mr. King of the Comics.
I'm pretty good, man. Spent a day watching, spent the morning watching some Korean movies with Felicia, so that was pretty solid,
K dramas, man. Can never.
K dramas.
Movies, no, not the series. It was, yeah, super tangent. We can get to the actual topics. Yeah.
But can you consider, like, I guess the thing is, if a Korean movie is a drama, isn't it a K drama?
Is it? Maybe, possibly.
If it's a drama in theory, what is
Semantics.
Semantics. That's the word I'm looking for. I forgot how to speak English.
Hypotheticals or semantics.
All right.
He's in college.
All right, Craig. We started. You happy? We're here. We started at 5:30. I just set it up early so people have time to come in. But
so yeah,
like,
sorry, just
5:30 like we do every week, actually. Like
Craig know what it is. Craig know what time we start.
Right on.
Getting into it, we are going to be discussing a lot of things today. The first thing on the docket, as you see, we have Batman Arkham Knight gameplay going. So we're going to be talking about the deleted scene of Batman, of the Batman that came out recently. We all went and watched that movie. We reviewed it. It's on the channel. A little plug. We enjoyed that movie. I think we gave that like a 9 out of 10 unanimously or something like that.
I give it a 10 out of 10, but y'all give it.
I gave it an 8.
He gave it an 8. I
think it's an average
out
of
of
9 all of us collectively.
But this scene in particular, featured the Joker Barry Keoghan or Keoghan. We just had this conversation. I don't know his man's name. Keoghan playing the Joker. So the Joker's back again after for the 15,000th time. He's back. He's having this dialogue with Batman, and their relationship is kind of interesting, to say the least. It feels as though this is obviously an earlier relationship when it comes to Batman and Joker, and you can kind of see a hint of interest, and you see a little bit of the obsession starting with the Joker and his obsession for Batman, like you kind of see in the comics. I thought this was interesting. It was an interesting scene. I don't think it was bad by any means. I just feel I'm a little Joker burnt out, honestly. I was expecting to see other villains like Calendar Man or people of that nature to kind of show up in this universe. But it looks like we're already jumping back into the Joker lane. How do you guys feel about this trailer? Well, not trailer, but this deleted scene.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can go. You can go. Our pitches are all out of order, so it's throwing.
Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah. It was in the order a minute ago. I don't know what the fuck happened, but
no, I got pulled out of the session and it switched the order.
I'll fix that. Go ahead.
Yeah. It was interesting. Like I'm not upset that it wasn't in the movie. I feel like the movie did have some pacing spots where it could have been up, so adding a scene like that would have kind of pulled away from it. I'm hoping that Joker and Batman have a relationship, kind of like how Hannibal Lecter was during like Red Dragon. Like he stays in the prison and he talks to him, but he's not like actually like the guy outside. I hope it stays that way. It's because Batman has such a deep rogues gallery. Like, give them some of them some shine. Like some of them,
right?
Because I am praying that they do Court of Owls with this Batman. Like, I just need it to happen. They set a lot of it up, so go that way, please. But the scene itself, he wasn't bad as Joker. Like, he didn't necessarily like bore me or annoy me. He was there. He was there. He was not a bad Joker. He was a good joke. He wasn't a good Joker. I mean, he's better than Jared Leto, but he's not like Joaquin Phoenix.
Is that saying a lot though?
Yeah.
Well, again, this is so we only had a 5-minute scene,
right,
and also
he
was through the glass. It was clearly
blurred
out.
Yeah.
And he was very sedated. Not sedated, but he was very calm in a different kind of way. I actually appreciate the fact that Dev said that it seemed like Batman and him were at the beginning of their relationship. What I liked about it was that it seemed like they had a relationship. We're not starting off with them having to like in the Dark Knight, where Batman is just being introduced to the character, or in the original Batman movie where they do some weird thing where it turns out he was the man that killed his parents. No, in this world, in the first 2 years, Batman has already dealt with the Joker. They already have their relationship. That's already been taken care of. He's already behind bars, or he's already in Arkham. and the Joker may have an affinity for him that can develop more. It's very much a Clarice and Hannibal, or like you said, Will Graham and Hannibal relationship. It's a fun idea. It didn't have to be in the movie, but I like the scene. That was interesting.
Hmm.
And I like the idea that the Joker, everything the Joker is saying is spot on. One of the biggest things he says is, "Are you not?" It's one of the things that kept you from catching him is the fact that you actually like that he's punishing those that are evil, essentially. And that's something that Bev's been caught out on before, as far as he does have. He's kind of all his righteous indignation is kind of getting in the way. So I like this scene. I like that it kind of did play with the psychology of the character, and it was fun to see a very different Joker, one who wasn't kind of over the top, who wasn't zany, who was just a very broken individual.
Was he really different? To me, it felt as though he was doing his best Heath Ledger impression. Like the mannerisms and the way he speaks is very much so Heath Ledger like, which is not a bad thing. Heath Ledger is probably for a majority of people the best Joker on screen, so I'm not mad at that whatsoever. I thought it was good, like you guys said. The thing I found really interesting that I kind of spoke on earlier was you see in the scene that he's starting to formulate an obsession with Batman, like he does in the comics, where Batman's there to ask him about, I think in that scene was the Riddler in particular, but you see him kind of redirecting the conversation away from the Riddler and more so like, how are you doing and what about you?
Yeah.
He's trying to, he's getting intrigued in the Bat and how the Bat operates and how he thinks. So right. I think they're obviously going to have, again, this movie was good and they had a lot of interesting relationships with the Riddler and Batman and made that connection good. So I don't doubt that they'll be able to do the same thing when it comes to the Joker. Again, we're doing this again.
I don't think they are. I don't think they are doing the Joker again. I think that's the whole point, that the Joker's already behind. He's already in Arkham. I think that's pretty much like it may be that the Batman goes to visit him from time to time for a consult or whatnot, but he's not going to be a major factor in the movies.
True, but again, think about it. This is the beginning. This is like year 2 Batman. So he hasn't even really. He's probably met the Joker because obviously it looks like the Joker went through a whole Ace Chemicals ordeal because he's like scarred up and burned.
Yeah,
he's looking rough.
Right.
And also he has a congenital disease. He can't stop smiling, so that's why his mouth looks messed up too.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So there's a few things going on. So people say that this is just a Heath Ledger. It's like, no, there's a lot more going on than just Heath Ledger. There are some notes. I mean, every Joker has taken something from the previous one, of course, except for Jared Leto. But it's not just Heath Ledger.
Right. Which I'm not saying that at all either. I think that imitation is the best form of flattery. So it's great to see that he's taking things from Heath Ledger because I think everybody should take some from him going forward. I think he did things for the character that should always be a part of that role if it's live action. But at the same time, I'm just interested to see what he can do differently to, make himself stand out from the others. We saw Joaquin. We saw how Joaquin handled that role and how he went about it. I'm interested to see if they're gonna combine these universes with the Flashpoint movie. Obviously, I've talked about it in the Batman review that I'm not really a fan of that, but if that were to happen, I can see them doing something similar to like the 3 Jokers storyline that they did in the comics very recently, in which you have an older Joaquin Joker, you have this new Joker here, and maybe you bring in another one at some point. I feel like that could be an interesting change up than just the whole Batman Joker square off type deal that we've gotten for almost my whole lifetime, honestly, when it comes to this character.
Almost longer than your lifetime.
Longer than my lifetime. Batman. Yeah, before you were born.
Yeah, for anybody new joining in, just know that the stick we age things with is how long I've been alive. If it's older than me or not. That's the stick.
Right, the measuring stick.
That's the measuring stick.
Is only 22.
All right. So what expectations do you guys have for this in particular? Like obviously they dropped this scene. It's not uncalculated. They dropped this to kind of get a feel and a pulse for how people would feel about this, obviously. And have you guys seen how people felt about this? Any of the backlash or any of the thoughts about it? Alon?
No, I was gonna say was the research I did, people were mostly positive about it. Actually, I mean, the part of it is like the grotesque nature of how he looks. That is a little striking, but the idea of this setup, the Hannibal and Will Graham or Hannibal and Clarice Starling setup, people are in favor of that. There is some pushback, of course. The idea of is the Joker coming back that fast, but the idea of him being in a contained area and the idea that the Batman has already interacted with him before in the past. That's in the past as opposed to something coming forward. Most folks are in favor of that.
Interesting. How about you, Otis?
Yeah, from what I've heard, people people are pretty split on it. Like some people say like, oh, it's really good, and this is a new angle on the way he looks, and blah 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 blah. And other people say this is the worst thing ever. I mean, I think that's kind of the view on this Batman movie in general. Like there's a big crowd of people that love everything about it, and there's a big crowd of people that hate everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, to have that type of split is a better thing than not, honestly, in my opinion. So.
Right.
Agreed. That's how you know you're doing something right, and people actually are passionate about it one way or the other. If it's just vanilla, it's like, who cares?
Yeah. It's interesting too when you see, because you'll have obviously the comic fans. I think I'll throw myself in one of that camp in which you kind of want some form of authenticity when it comes to the comic adaptations and it being a comic adaptation and not just a steal of the IP and changed around. Mm-hmm. Like I want to see some like foundational parts of Batman, which is why I wasn't really a fan of the Affleck Snyder Batman, because I felt like he kind of just went against the character altogether. But then you have the other crowd where it's just they probably aren't as much so a fan of the character initially with the comics, and their only experience with that character is through the live action stuff. So you have two people in two camps that their first impression of the character is vastly different. So they have two different expectations when it comes to that character's on-screen appearance for future stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's just interesting to see that huge difference in dichotomy when it comes to the character and how people get very passionate about, especially this character in this world. I just thought that was crazy to me because they get intense when it comes to Batman and Joker.
Oh yeah,
intense.
And one thing, the character's been around, since how many decades now? Like 70
plus, because they did the 75th anniversary like a year or two ago.
Yeah, did it for a while ago. So there have been so many different iterations and interpretations of the character. There's even when you adapt it to the big screen, it's going to look different because there's been so many different versions of him in the comic books. Mm. Every medium has a different version of this character. I mean, look at this. You gotta keep this in mind that before they made the 1989 Tim Burton Batman film, the most dominant vision of Batman was how Adam West portrayed him. That's stark. That's a stark difference. So you're always going to have vastly differing opinions of how Batman is to be portrayed in some way, some form, and there's different types of Batmans for different people. In my brain, the way I always hear Batman, always see Batman is essentially as Kevin Conroy's voice. Mm-hmm. But it's different folks. There's different strokes for different folks. I was raised in the 80s and 90s, so that's how it is for me.
Same. My introduction more so being the animated series stuff. So again, I also hear Kevin Conroy in my head, like you said. Like when I hear the Joker, or when I read any comic that involves Batman or the Joker, I hear Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy in my head when I'm reading those characters' lines. So yeah, it's very much so interesting, and how that dichotomy goes. Before we move on to the next topic, do you guys have any other closing thoughts on that in general, as far as regards to the deleted scene?
But I want to see more of this Batman world. I hope they don't rush to incorporate it too heavily into the rush of the DC. Whatever they're trying to do.
Right.
I don't either. I don't want that. Yeah, that's the problem they made the last time. They did too much with trying to do. They went right from Man of Steel into basically the trio with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. It's kind of like, what happened? I want them to take their time. It seems very much they're actually establishing, because I think it's a trilogy. It's a Batman trilogy that Matt Reeves is doing. So they have a plan for it. So I'm glad they're taking the time with that. I'm curious to see if they do explore some of the other rogues gallery, and also I think they may be building towards the actual ultimate movie is an Arkham self-contained movie where all this Batman kind of trapped in Arkham, having to deal with everyone he's put in there essentially.
That's interesting enough.
Just Court of Owls, please. I am begging.
I need that. I need the Court of Owls.
I need it, man.
It does seem they've teed up Court of Owls with a few Easter eggs in the first film.
Exactly. Even then with that's Court of Owls is something that's an in-game event to me. That's something that you build up over the course of like however long you want this to be a trilogy or more than, I don't know, but that's something you build up to. And I really need to see an on-screen adaptation of that. And that whole, like the whodunit whole thing they did with the Zodiac Killer theme stuff in the first movie was amazing to me. If we could get a series that kind of sparked that level of him being a detective to that level, and give me a whole series where it ends with a secret society and him uncovering secrets, I'd love that. That'd be my dream Batman trilogy / group of however many movies it takes. That's what I would love.
Right.
Moving on into the next topic of the day, another big thing on the docket we're going to get to in regards to the Daredevil series that is now no longer Netflix but Disney's Daredevil. The interesting thing is, obviously, everyone knows that this show is coming back, but a thing that a lot of people may not know is that they're not doing a continuation of the Netflix stuff that they did before. This is going to be a complete reboot.
Rehash.
Yeah, the only people we know for sure that are coming back are William D'Onofrio. Oh my God, wait, is it D'Onofrio?
Vincent D'Onofrio
as Kingpin, and oh my God, I can't remember the dude that plays
Charlie
Matt Murdock.
Cox.
Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock. That's why I have them here. They keep me straight. These two are the only people that have been confirmed to return back. So we're still up in the air on if we're gonna have. We'll probably have Foggy Nelson back. I don't think you'll have a Daredevil show without that Foggy Nelson. I think he did great, but it's unconfirmed. How do you guys feel in particular about them possibly changing the story up that they did in previous seasons to something different?
I figured they would have to just because just seeing him Kingpin in the Hawkeye series, he's not the same Kingpin that we saw in the Charlie Cox series on Netflix. Definitely powered up. So they gotta do something to make sure they maintain the continuity to the MCU. But I'm happy to see it just because I really enjoyed Charlie Cox's Daredevil. I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, I agree. I think both of them, they kind of did it. They kind of test the waters when they put Vincent D'Onofrio in the Hawkeye show. Like, if people want this, in the spoiler alert when he shows up, the episode before he actually shows up, when you see just an image of him with Vera Farmiga's character, it's like everyone, we're going crazy. People are losing their minds. And same as Charlie Cox when he showed up in, spoiler alert, Spider-Man No Way Home, brief, like 3-minute, 2-minute cameo. I was in the audience and people were losing their minds seeing him there. So it's a character that these are actors that people love in these roles, and people are excited to have them back.
Just bring back John Barenthal, please.
And John,
he's
John
coming.
Barenthal back as the
Punisher,
that'd be great too.
Otis, you said something interesting. Oh my God, I can't speak English. You said something interesting in regards to you saying that the Kingpin isn't the same Kingpin. What makes you say that exactly? What looked different to you outside of him being super strength boosted up?
Besides the strength boosted, he just seemed to have a lot more influence within the city. Like, he was feared by, well, not feared, but he was a threat to somebody like Hawkeye, who's like, breezing through the swimsuit mafia.
Right.
He was like, yeah, whatever.
Swimsuit mafia.
Yeah. So you
sweatsuit?
Sweatsuit.
I
said swimsuit.
I want the swimsuit.
I said swimsuit. Sweatsuit mafia.
Tracksuit.
I wouldn't be mad at the swimsuit mafia.
Tracksuit. Hey, swimsuit.
I want that.
Write that down for Brian Z. Write that down for Brian
I need that book.
But yeah, like he's breezing through those, and he's like, "No, we don't want to piss off the Kingpin. Like, this is a guy, and this is a universe where Shield exists. This is a universe where Hydra exists, and he's legitimately worried about Kingpin.
It's all, where Thanos. It's a world where Thanos exists,
right?
And he's still sweating Kingpin.
I did find it interesting in that somebody on the level of him, like, he's seen Thanos, he's seen all this crazy stuff as a Shield agent, and he's afraid of the Kingpin.
He's afraid of the Kingpin.
I do agree on that. That was interesting to me, seeing that dynamic between, like, how much influence he has in the city, how much notoriety he has in that city of New York City. And then obviously we got to see a little bit of Charlie Cox, Daredevil, within the No Way Home movie, and seeing that it seems like he's a little powered up, wasn't he? Because was he able to do anything like that in the show where he heard a brick coming from outside the window?
He did all kinds of stuff.
Like he was crazy powered up in that show.
I had to rewatch the show.
He heard like heartbeats of people. Like,
he smelled floors and floors away.
Like,
how do you hear a brick coming though? Like, you have to hear it like breaking the wind.
The thing is, he would do that kind of stuff where he would hear like where bullets were and dodge them.
Right.
Bullets make more sense to me though, because that's like an explosion going off for a bullet to come at you. That's a brick.
Okay, but you have to know where
he heard the window broke. He heard the window break, and he has reflexes.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean.
So, it's not. We're dealing with. It may have even for Daredevil. He may have actually heard the person kind of like getting in place and throwing the. Who knows what it is? It's comic book logic, but
right.
it's not out of the realm possibility. What I'm curious is the tone, because Disney's tone and Netflix's tone. I rewatched the entire Daredevil series not too long ago, like maybe a couple months ago, and it's not a hard R, but it's like you're pushing some things here. This is especially season 2 with the torture of Daredevil of Punisher. It's like this is a soft R, and Disney is nowhere near an R. So I'm curious to see what they do with it.
The two things that I think have and will establish the future tone of the series going forward is, one, the key fact that they haven't edited it. Oh my god, they haven't edited the versions of the Marvel shows they put on there. Like, they're exactly how they were on Netflix.
Are there any Marvel shows on there from Netflix?
Yeah, they put on all
they're all of them on there.
All of them on there. Luke Cage, Iron Fist, all those are on there now, and those are the exact same way that they were on Netflix.
Recast Danny Rand.
Please, I would say reboot. Yeah, do reboot for that. Just get rid of all that stuff.
How much of that was the script and the writing for that versus
all of it? It's everything. It's the casting, it's the writing, it's everything.
I don't know if it's him yet. I'm a lot more lenient to actors.
I've seen 2 seasons of it. I think it's him.
You watched 2 seasons? I'm impressed.
I watched both seasons of Iron Fist. It's him.
We don't pay you nearly enough.
I don't know. I can't say it's him quite yet. That's just me though. I'm a little bit more lenient to actors just for the fact they don't have
that show were well done. Like Colleen's great.
All right.
Seeing Misty Knight more in season 2 of Iron Fist was dope. Like, it's
Winnie Weaver was good.
All right.
Yes.
Getting into what was my second point? Oh my god, I lost my train of thought. For my first point being that. Second point being what will determine the tone is how dark Moon Knight gets. Moon Knight is as a character is extremely dark, and there's a lot of like brutalization and murder in him as a character in general. So if they keep a really dark tone and the fight scenes are as brutal as they look within that show, I think that'll be a true tried and testament stick going forward for how they treat darker tone stuff in Marvel.
That's fair.
Because I didn't think they'd ever keep something R-rated on Disney Plus, but the way it's looking, they may have that be a thing avenue going forward.
You saw what U.S. Patriot did in the middle of that open area in Captain America, Captain Falcon, I call it that.
Yeah.
But
but
that's pretty hardcore, is what he did.
The thing with that is, though, you didn't see it happen. It was more
I feel like they will play around with things along that line, like
probably. Disney doesn't have an issue with implied violence, especially even with their animated stuff that they've done with stuff and stuff. Like,
because one of the hardest core things, obviously, talking about implied violence, is like the thing where Kingpin, if y'all remember season 1, he
smashed somebody's head off with a door.
Right, with a car door. So.
And that was a graphic scene. I don't know if we're getting anything like that within Disney.
That's probably a bridge too far for them, I imagine.
But the closest thing I can think of getting close to that is maybe like the Princess and the Frog, when Dr. Olivia got dragged off to the spirit world or whatever by the spirits. Yeah, something like that. Like, it wasn't even graphic. It was just him screaming for his life and pleading for his life. That's like the only thing close to that I can think of they would get to when it comes to them having something that nature being that dark in that series.
I mean, Disney in the past has done bizarrely, weirdly kind of dark things. So yeah, I'm curious to see what they do.
It's like the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
That was dark, dude. That was really dark. Oh my god,
there's a whole song where a guy's like confessing his perversions and love for
hellfire.
All right. I mean, I don't blame him.
Honestly, that's one of my favorite Disney movies. One of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, it's underrated. It's definitely underrated. So yeah, I feel you.
Getting into the next topic, obviously Sony has they have the rights to Spider-Man, and they are dead set on establishing a Spider-Verse. And I don't mean that in the sense of the Spider-Man universe. I mean in the sense of they're taking Spider-Man characters such as Silver Sable, Black Cat, Kraven the Hunter, like all his, I guess, side characters, Morbius, and they're creating a universe within that. And I guess the most recent one that's going to be right behind Morbius is Kraven the Hunter. They have started filming if you go on Twitter, you can probably find them on YouTube as well. There are clips of the first car scene. They've started recording that footage, and I think in the UK. So filming for that has already started. I don't know what to expect out of a Kraven the Hunter film, or even out of Morbius. Like, I don't know who the antagonists are going to be, because these characters in general are seen as antagonists. So maybe I see them making all these characters anti-heroes in a sense, which I don't know how you have that many anti-heroes.
They're going to make a Spider-Verse Suicide Squad.
That's what it's looking like.
Pretty much. It's basically going to be a Spider-Verse. I mean, it's going to be like, a Sinister Six because Kraven the Hunter has been in Sinister Six before too. Sinister Six.
It's like one of the key members that originally he's in the original Sinister Six, isn't he?
He may have been. I can't remember.
It's like Doc Ock, the Vulture, him and Mysterio, and
Ryan
because Kraven is honestly one of my favorite people in Spider-Man's rogues gallery.
Sergei was Sergei. What was his last name?
Kravinoff. But he because he's an anti-hero too. He doesn't just like rob banks. Like he actually does.
Yeah, he likes fighting. He's literally a hunter. Like he likes attacking big game and having a challenge for things of that nature.
Right, and he's actually helped Spider-Man numerous times too.
So
it could be an interesting movie. I'm curious, and I'll be blunt. I don't have the most faith in Sony. When Sony's left to their own devices, like Venom, 1 or 2, it's like ugh. Or some
the
of
first one's
Spider-Mans.
okay. The first one's okay. I give that first Venom a pass.
First one
okay.
is semi-watchable. Yes,
it's semi-watchable. By the way, if on your poster for your movie it says this is semi-watchable. It has a guy doing this with the number of his hand. I don't know that's a rigging endorsement.
Was that a poster you saw? You saw it on the poster?
That's the poster I'm making.
Also, another interesting thing that's probably right along with that in the same tone, they've already casted characters to be that of Madame Web and for Felicia Hardy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
I forgot who they cast for Madame Web. I remember they got saw that.
I know
it's the
girl from
Euphoria. Sweeney or
Sydney. Yeah, okay,
Sydney Sweeney.
Sense.
I know Madame Web, the lady that got casted.
By the way, we got we got to talk about Euphoria and that character especially. Good.
Yes,
God.
we do.
I want to save her.
Cassie. Jesus Christ. But anyways,
the lady that played, she was in the main character for 50 Shades of Grey. That's who Madame Web is. The woman.
That's right. That Dakota Johnson.
Dakota
That's right.
Johnson.
I was like,
Yeah.
that seems bizarrely young for Madame Web. Like,
which there are multiple issues in the comic where she's not old. She's like there's different versions of her.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are also versions in which she's given her powers to Spider. Is it Jessica Drew Spider Woman? I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, she's given like that's how that she's come about in
Spider-Woman.
different instances. So I see them doing more of a version of that versus her being old, and the typical version you see from the animated series that people are more familiar with. They've encountered that character. Obviously we know Sydney Sweeney is a really good actor from watching Euphoria. She does well. I don't know. We'll see how she plays Felicia Hardy. I think she's aesthetically wise, she fits the perfect aesthetic of Felicia Hardy. I got to see what kind of energy she brings. Because again, in my mind, I have the last image of that character is from the animated series, so I have to see what kind of energy she brings to that role. It'd be interesting to see.
Plus, the idea too is that she's on serum too. She's meant to. Like, the Black Cat is like a super soldier, not super soldier, but like a buffed up serum. So she's able to. She should be.
I'm pretty sure it's a diluted version of the super soldier serum in general.
Yeah, I think it's like a diluted version of it in a way. So she is kind of jacked up. So she would have. But I imagine they kind of put a little bit of muscle on her probably.
If they give her, even if they make it that version in general, they could just make her like another Catwoman type character.
I hope they don't do that. That's
let's see how
don't
that
half-ass
goes.
it. Don't half it. I mean, it's Sony, so they might. Who knows what's going to happen with Sony? But we'll see.
It's interesting. A lot of the stuff they're talking about is really interesting. I got to see. My first kind of testing stick will be if Morbius is any good. If that movie's good, then I'll be like, okay, we'll see where they go from here.
Do you think you've seen the trailers and stuff? Do you think it will be?
I just don't like to put faith in Jared Leto.
Fact.
Okay, I will be the one person to say when it comes to Jared Leto, he was really bad as the Joker initially.
You're the one person to say that? How are you the one?
Let me finish. All this. That scene in the Snyder Cut at the end, in which he has an open dialogue with Ben Affleck's Batman in the future, was a great dialogue. That was probably the best that he said that he's been as that character. And if we would have had that Joker from the start, it would not have been anywhere near as much critique as that had. So I'm not sure if that's him or the writing that they had for that character, because he did amazing.
I'm not even just talking about him as the Joker. I'm just talking about like him as an actor.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of him. Period. But that being said, I'll give you that dib. Yeah. At the end, when he's actually reasonable and able to talk and communicate in that 4-hour movie, that scene, like, that's his best moment.
Right.
But even then, I feel like he's still doing a Heath Ledger moment too. He's not bring anything different to the table. It's
but that's fine to me. What did we, outside of Heath Ledger, what great role did we get? Unless you want to count Nicholson, but even then, I don't even think Nicholson was that great, because that was a different version of that character in general. That whole version of Batman was darker in that version, but he felt more akin to the Cesar Romero Joker in a sense.
Which is what he built on.
He was real.
Like I said,
that was his. Yeah, that was his initial thing. So going forward, I don't think it's bad at all to say that these Jokers are are building off of Heath Ledger because that's the standard now.
Right. No, I completely agree.
Right.
I guess what I'm saying is that you're saying that worked as far as Jared Leto doing that thing. It's like all Jared Leto did was the best thing Jared Leto did was someone else did before him. So it's kind of like I don't know why. I guess,
but it's all you can ask for that character. Leto, how many times can you really reinvent that character? Because that character hasn't really been reinvented a lot in the comics in general.
But like Joaquin Phoenix brought something different. Even Barry Keoghan in a 5-minute scene, it was something different. My favorite Joker of all time, I think all of our favorite Jokers is Mark Hamill. He is doing something different. So it's I just don't But all that being said,
a part of me too. But that kind of runs home my point as far as I give a lot more leniency to actors. I believe a significant part of that goes into the people writing scripts and writing the story in general. When it comes to Mark Hamill and that whole version of him, that had amazing writing by that team. Like that team, obviously, anything they touched was gold. They had multiple series that was amazing. And most of the animated movies that they did have been great. Also, that those people, I can't remember the writer's name off the top of my head. But those two individuals,
so it's Paul Dini and Stan Berkowitz, and
they do amazing work.
They do, but another thing I keep in mind when it comes to movies is that a lot of it is what the actor is going to bring to the role. Like a lot of Jack Nicholson brought a lot of his own personality when he played the Joker. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds, anything he's in, he brings a lot of his personality to it. It's like that's why you hire these actors, is to bring life into these things.
I'm glad you brought up Ryan Reynolds, because Ryan Reynolds played multiple roles, 2 roles in particular being that of Deadpool and that of Green Lantern. People hated him for. They thought people hated him for Deadpool for sure.
In the movie, you mean
the X-Men Origins Deadpool, his first version of Deadpool. People thought he was over the top. People thought he was doing too much, especially with Green Lantern. They hated him for being him and being over the top. But once he got,
I don't think anyone blamed him for the Deadpool.
No one blamed people like this.
People just knew that movie was bad. People just knew that
his mouth was so shut.
I watched a million video essays where people were ripping him about that. They thought he was overbearing. They thought he was doing too much as that character. Initially,
well, the problem was he wasn't doing enough. His mouth was sewn shut.
Yeah, that second half, yeah. People hated. From what I saw, it wasn't even having to do with that second part. It was the whole first part of him in that elevator and in the initial story. Because he was just so.
Because he doesn't do anything.
I'll try to find him and give it to you. But in that initial scene, he talked a lot. They had him just.
He did. And I liked it.
That's Deadpool. That's literally. And it wasn't even annoying. It was like, we kind of needed this.
I liked it, but from what I saw, people did not enjoy that whatsoever. From what I saw.
Now he deserves all the flack for that Green Lantern movie. Like we're not gonna take that away. Like he did that.
That was a lot of him.
Right. A lot of his so that being my point of. When you put these people that we already know are decent, we know they're good actors. They've been put in roles in which the writing was well done and they were able to shine right. But if you take these actors and you give them shitty scripts and you give them bad versions of that character to even portray, you're putting them in a really bad position there.
It is, fair. It is a team effort. Of course, it always is a team effort. But part of what happens is there's what they have in Hollywood. Actors have people that punch up their scripts. They get a script and they punch it up. Speaking of Ryan Reynolds, he was recently in a movie called The Adam Project, and you can tell his team came in and kind of punched up his dialogue into certain things to make it more fit his vibe, fit what he's going for. Not all actors have that, but a lot of actors do. Robert Downey Jr. had a punch-up team for him, everything he did on the Marvel films, and it's clear, it's evident.
But I think go ahead, my bad, I'm sorry, continue.
No, I was saying was that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah. To go along with your point, I think you have to earn that right. Like actors like a Ryan Reynolds, like after Deadpool, he kind of earned that. RDJ, like bringing life into the Marvel stuff, he earned that. I don't think Jared Leto is quite there yet. Like if you're talking like a Will Smith or somebody that's like they sell box office stuff, you're a lot more likely to get people to like adjust their script to fit you as that character and not just them writing that character. You just portraying the character that person wrote.
That's possible, but you got to remember Jared Leto is literally an Academy Award winning actor.
Is
so
he?
He's not some
For what?
Dallas Buyers Club.
For what?
Dallas Buyers Club.
Was he like a main character in that, or was he just like a side character in that?
You got it for supporting actor.
Oh, we count that though?
He's been in movies for a long time. Like he was in American Psycho with what's his name?
It's Christian Bale.
I don't remember him at all. Jesus Christ.
Jared Leto's been acting since literally, again, before you were born. He was in Panic Room before you were born. So he's been acting for a long time. He's been around for a long time. He is not a schlub. He's not only known for being the Joker.
He's more known for being the lead singer for 30 Seconds to Mars.
30 Seconds to Mars.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a weird scenario. And again, we don't know the answers to all this stuff, but it's just
right. This is all speculation. We don't know how much of an
speculation.
input he had on the script in general. That's just again they have a lot more knowledge about this individual's acting career than I do because I did not know.
But the thing is that we do know about the Joker is that was a choice that Jared Leto did make a choice to portray him that way. That was him. That was his choice.
Sure him.
That was his choice.
I think that was his mistake in trying. That's the one mistake too. He tried, I feel like, go so far from Heath Ledger and past renditions of him, and tried so hard to create his own version.
Yes.
Which I think again sometimes that works, and a lot of times that's a very big mistake because you're getting away from what people did to make that character great in general.
Agreed.
But yeah, it's interesting. I'm excited to see what Barry Keoghan does with this character in general.
Same.
Again, is what he can bring to it.
Same.
It's gonna be rough. We're not even on that topic anymore. What were we talking? We were talking about the Daredevil stuff. Felicia Hardy and that's okay. I remember I had to backtrack and figure out where we even were. Cause
you're good. Spoiler alert. Yesterday, I could have sworn yesterday was actually Sunday. So you forgetting what we're talking about is nothing compared to me getting the days of the week completely mixed up.
All right. If you're new here, no, tangents are a thing that we do. That's
always
kind of on brand for us. We'll get into a tangent. Going forward. Next topic on the docket. Let me go get my list out. This is something that a series that Mr. Lelouch loves, like it's one of his favorite things of all time. He's watched every single show and every single season and every single episode of this franchise. He loves it with a passion. It's on brand for that. The CW has a list of shows that have been renewed for upcoming seasons. Those shows being The Flash for season 9, Kung Fu for season 3, All American for season 5, Nancy Drew for season 4. Riverdale is getting a season 7.
Kung Fu?
Walker is getting a season 3, and Superman and Lois is getting a season 3. These shows have been renewed for upcoming shows. The only one out of that bunch only two out of that bunch that I've seen some praise. Well, at least I've seen some praise for Superman and Lois. I haven't watched at all any of that whatsoever. I was vaguely interested in the Walker series just because I'm a big fan of not Jensen Ackles,
Jared Padalecki,
and I really like him as an actor. I grew up watching him on Supernatural. I think he does good work, but apparently that show is not very good at all. According to people, I'll still hold my judgment on that until I see some of it. But
fair.
I watched some of the old Walker Texas Ranger with my grandparents growing up, so I don't really know how good. Like what, I don't have a preconceived expectation of that character going in.
The original show was like it was Chuck Norris kind of acting. Right. It was like, all right, what's going on? Can you act?
It's more of a mythos around
the
character than actually like quality of characters.
Right.
Exactly.
Chuck Norris. You know the Chuck Norris jokes.
You know what Chuck Norris is.
Chuck Norris has a push-up. But he doesn't do a push-up. He like makes the world go down and then back up.
Right.
Whole snake biting him and dying.
Yujiro Hanma, but American.
It's interesting. Have y'all watched any of these shows outside of? I know we've all seen some of The Flash at some point, but have you watched any of the other shows?
I've seen a little bit of All American. I don't understand what they're trying to do with that show because they got like.
Tell me what is that show? Is that like a hero thing or is it like a drama?
It's a football show.
Oh god!
And the coach is what's his name? Tay Diggs.
He's been. What is it? Tyler Perry stuff. What was he in before? That name sounds familiar to me.
He may have. I think he was
in like The Wood. He was in like
he was in Waiting to Exhale back in the day.
He was in.
None of this is ringing a bell for me.
Brown Sugar.
Costello got a groove back.
Yeah, so all this stuff is before your time. More or less.
Okay, so
right. These movies came out like when you were like 2.
If that, like, I remember in the '90s when I was like in high school watching some of these on dates and that kind of stuff.
You never seen The Wood? You never seen The Wood?
So he's in The Wood.
You have never seen The Wood.
I have not.
That is the biggest revelation on this episode, right?
Is it really
though?
Yes.
Is it really? Is this like a black staple that I'm missing out on? Apparently,
yes, it is.
Pretty. It's kind of like it's akin to a Spike Lee movie in a way. It's not a Spike Lee movie, but it's akin to.
Yeah, it's like a Spike Lee movie, but like good.
Wow! Now shots are being fired like off the hip.
Look.
Through doors.
Have y'all niggas seen Undercover? This nigga Chris is on, not Chris. Craig is on my ass right now. To my, I don't eat chicken. You don't eat chicken and you don't know black classics. Okay, what we not gonna do?
Wait, eat chicken?
Who doesn't eat chicken?
I love chicken, nigga. You don't come for me. Don't come for me.
What are you talking about?
We're not gonna do this, Craig. That's what we're not gonna do.
Now Craig's firing.
Craig on my ass right now. Okay. Do I need to list off the list of black essentials that I've seen?
You don't.
I need to validate that.
No.
Yes, actually. Like I can't. What have you seen? Have you seen Juice?
Juice. I've seen Juice. I've seen Baby Boy. I've seen Menace to Society.
Does Baby Boy count?
Again, you don't have to prove. You ain't gonna prove yourself. The thing what it is, the Wood is before your time. I can't remember what year it came out, but it's before your time. So you'd have to go back. And it's not like it's a huge staple of the community. So it's good, but you'd have to go back. It's like that and like Crooklyn, the curtain ones. You had to kind of go back and try to look up essentially.
Okay, I got you.
But now, one thing I do want to point out is that the person doing this racetrack is struggling.
Bro,
so hard.
I've been watching this.
Dropped in '99, so yeah, it was the year before you were born.
I've been watching this, and it's been. I'm like, this dude is trash. It's not any of our gameplay. This is not any of our gameplay. So I was never this bad. I was bad at these maps, but I was never that bad. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he had a rough time. Yeah.
Craig said, "You don't eat fried wings." Remember? Oh yeah. I said I don't like fried food anymore because I worked at. My first 3 jobs were like fried food restaurants, and I cooked fried chicken.
Oh,
so I went home every day smelling like it, and it makes me nauseous now. I don't like.
Yeah,
there's some fried foods I can eat, but fried chicken, if it's not my grandmother's fried chicken, I'm not doing it.
I feel you. Yeah, I know what you mean. That it does. It can f you up pretty bad if you do it for a long time. I feel you, Dev.
Yeah, that grease I can't. That's why I don't eat a lot of fried foods like that anymore. There's some I still love, but fried chicken. Now baked chicken, sautéed, all day.
Yeah, you might want to.
There's any chicken except boiled chicken because boiled meat is just not right. I'm sorry.
Unless you are training for something and have to get cut, don't ever eat boiled meat.
Well, they not like chicken salad.
No,
that's usually that's baked or something. It's not.
No,
boiled chicken. Is
you boil that chicken to strain it to tear it apart, and then you put that in. You cook that in.
I don't like chicken salad.
I don't eat chicken salad that much. I eat chicken salads, but not chicken salad.
Yeah, like a chicken Caesar salad or something like that.
Right,
where
right.
Chicken is baked or pan fried and put into the. Yeah, I'll eat that.
Yes,
but like
I love that. That's great.
Like where the meat is like shredded like that. No, I'm good. No,
is it the mayo? Is it the mayo?
Yes, it is absolutely.
The mayo and the egg, it gets a little. It makes you feel.
And I don't like egg. I don't like egg at all.
Oh, I love egg.
I like most types of eggs, but it's got to be done right though.
Now,
this is what you come to this show for. You come to this show for food critiques.
For the last tangent, that shit, again, I talked about Undercover Brother earlier. That shit reminds me of that one scene in Undercover Brother where they have Eddie Griffin at the table. And they're like trying to test him to see if he's still an undercover black agent. Oh, and his lady gives him a fat ass mayo sandwich, and he's sitting there struggling to eat that shit.
By the way, a mayo sandwich. God damn, that is like, that's a lot.
Oh my god!
Like
I can't.
I would eat bare toast before I eat a mayo sandwich. Like
I don't mind
toast with no like toast with no butter. I would eat that before I eat a mayo sandwich. 100%.
This is how I know I go to a PWI. I was at a little get together with some friends, and I talked about the same thing about mayo being like on a mayo sandwich being trash. Homegirl's like, "Well, have you ever tried? I know it sounds bad, but hear me out. Mayo and pineapple sandwich." I was like,
so that is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
I was like, "Do you mean like the pineapple with like meat and lettuce or whatever?" She was like, "No, just that." I'm like,
I don't know.
Hell no.
Is her name Karen?
No, I'm not going to disclose what her name is because that's she's a friend. I'm not going to do her like that. But
is she still a friend? All right,
she's still she's a friend. She just makes bad choices in life.
She's just
you love your friends for better or for worse.
I don't know about that, man.
Hey, just the same way the same way we still love Ethan, even though he likes Thor Ragnarok. I will love my other friend just the same.
Love Thor Ragnarok. Yeah,
he's trouble, but he's still a friend at the end of the day.
Here's the thing. Let me ask y'all this real quick. Do y'all like pineapple? Like, you know how they have Hawaiian pizza? Do y'all like Hawaiian pizza or pineapple on your?
I have to be in the mood for it. I got to be in the mood for it.
Exactly. I got to be in the mood for it.
I am not. So Craig is with me. Craig is doing a yucky face. Yeah, I am not a fan of pineapple on most foods, and I'm also not a fan of it on pizza. But
in fact, it's not Becky. Craig, her name's not Becky either.
Like steak marinated in pineapple juice is a different thing, man.
They do that with certain types of dishes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a weird, I don't know. Pineapple is such a strong, sweet taste is not my go-to.
I'm so ready to get old and buy a house so I can just sit there and grill and marinate chicken and meat for a day. I'm gonna be so old. I'm getting the dad sandals and all that shit. I'm just cooking in my backyard. I'm grilling meat, boys. Marinate meat for 5 days.
When y'all come here, we got to do that. We got to cook out. We got a nice kickback, and you stand and I'll come here. We'll have a nice kickback.
Oh, we'll be dancing. We'll be two-stepping some old black songs. We'll be doing the bus stop.
That'd be dope.
I mean, if we're in LA, we got to crip walk a little bit, I guess. I mean, I think that's
you trying to get me. I'm not getting shot, sir. I'm not wearing any blue or yellow. I'm leaving my LA cap here. I'm not trying nothing now.
Don't wear blue and you do a crip walk. You're all right. You're straight.
I ain't trying it.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to bullets.
No.
I'm allergic to it. I'm not doing it to myself.
I'm allergic to bullets. No.
Okay, next topic. Should we damn near cover just about all the topics that I had set up for the show? We got 5 minutes. Is there anything in particular that you guys want to speak about before we close out?
Talk about how great Jujutsu Kaisen was and how Charlie still hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah, that's it. I'm at it. I can get over the pineapple. I can get over the mayonnaise.
Can you though?
Dev, well, not really, but Dev deliberately choosing not to ask Jujutsu Kaisen in my face, call himself my friend. That's a little harder.
Well, the main thing that's keeping me back from watching outside of my schedule, being like working my RA thing over the schedule, is me having to rewatch the show before I watch the movie.
You don't even have to.
It's a prequel. It's before
it's a prequel.
That,
oh,
it's called Zero. It's actually all the stuff that happens before the show.
Okay,
it actually makes the show make more sense.
So it's just like I'm assuming it's just like Gojo in it majority of the time, right?
It's a
Gojo is definitely there a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of Gojo.
Is Yujiro even a big part of that?
Itadori?
Not Itadori.
He's not in it at all.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
So the idea is all the second years that are in the first season.
Yeah,
they're all first years in this movie. It's their first year at
okay. That's the verse I'm interested in. I don't know if I'm not intelligent enough to understand how a lot of the Dominion, like I get the extent of how the domain expansions work in the sense of you're creating your own mini pocket universe that people are trapped in that you control.
Your mind, yeah.
But some of the way that the energy or the curse, is it curse energy? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, curse energy.
Yeah, I'm still don't quite understand how all that stuff works and how their abilities work, which I just got to rewatch it another time. Maybe if I watch it in dub this time, I'll get a little bit better.
Watch it dub.
I watched it subbed and I was like, maybe if I watch it dubbed, they'll have better explanation.
Yeah, that's actually a solid dub. It's
actually actually like a dub a little bit more because of Gojo's voice a little bit more dub.
Gojo's voice I like dub, but Itadori's voice I like way more sub.
Yeah, he's a little better subbed, but Gojo's voice is better.
He sounds like a wannabe Johnny Young Bach in that, and I was just like,
I wouldn't go there. I knew you'd say that. I wouldn't go there, but. It works, but it does make a little more sense if you watch it dubbed. And the thing is, the movie is subbed in the theater, but the movie, because it's starting from the very beginning essentially, and the character that you're focusing on the most, they do explain the cursed stuff to him. So it's almost like if you haven't seen the show, it's a good starting point. It's just to watch the movie.
All right. Last quick thing I want to get into before we take off, my boy Jeffrey wrote an article for us on our show. I know we're going to review this when it comes out, but this Tekken movie that's going to come out. Can you guys ever like series? Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a series. It's a series, yeah. Oh gosh.
But it's Netflix. Netflix has a pretty good reputation with adapting video game series.
Baki.
No. Video game series. Like, I mean,
but then, like, I feel like they're going to take a lot of Baki and put it in there.
I don't like what makes you. It feels like the animation style for me. I don't like the animation style at all. It looks really
little blocky.
Yeah.
3D.
For martial arts combat, if they would, I would have preferred doing like a Castlevania style. I don't know if it's the same team working on that at all. Probably not.
It's not. It's the studio.
But just like for a series so based in martial arts and like hands being thrown, that blocky style just seems so weird to me. I don't know. It
seems like they're trying to actually evoke the exact same style as from the video games. The way the video games move is almost stiff in that manner, and it seems like they're trying to do that very much. So,
like I feel like they're going to try to make this like how they did King and Ashura, how they've done Baki repeatedly, because there's so many variations of Baki on Netflix now. Like,
King and Ashura, you don't like King and Ashura? I like King and Ashura though.
King and Ashura is okay, but I just feel like that's what they're going to try to make this into, essentially.
I see. I see.
Also, I don't know how much of the lore you guys know of the Tekken universe, but they're like kind of following the Tekken lore, but they're also being weird about it. This show is also is based around Jin Kazama. He's the main character of this show.
But it's the son, right? So it's
Yeah, it's the son.
Jin is
and
not
the
Kazuya.
grandson. Yeah.
Wait, no, is it Kazuya or is it Jin?
It's
No,
Jin,
it's
Jin.
Jin. It's
Kazuya.
Jin.
He's a Kazuya. His dad's Kazama. No,
Heihachi's
Kazama.
Heihachi was his granddad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hayashi Mishima, then it's Kazuya Kazama, and then
Kazuya
it's
Kazama,
Jin
yeah.
Kazama.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of like roughly the beginning of 3 Tekken.
Essentially, yeah.
Like, yeah.
And I don't even know how much you're gonna get into with it. Like, not the Devil Trigger. That's Devil May Cry. I forgot what his devil form was called in this.
Right, but
show.
Ogre seems like he's there.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems weird to me.
It is weird. Tekken's very weird.
To get off that random tangent, I guess. Craig has a question. He said he watched the interview we did with Ben, Mr. Olivas, as in regards to the Harry Potter stuff, and he wanted to know what feedback we got from it. I'll start off with me in particular. I've heard a lot of good things. Ben himself talked to me. I talked to him after the fact. He felt great that we made a decision to not really cover that game at all and not kind of give it any promotion. He wanted to thank us for that. A lot of other people I know a lot of people that are within the LGBTQ community, and they also thanked us on that for the people that were fans of us in particular that watched our stuff.
Yeah.
I felt I'm myself, like I said before, I'm going to purchase it myself and play it myself, but it's it's a personal thing for me. But I'm not going to take part in promoting the game whatsoever. So we won't be streaming it, we won't be reviewing it or anything of that nature going forward.
Yeah, it's I talked to a couple. So I have friends obviously have friends in the LGBTQ community, and I talked to a couple. I actually shared it with a couple of them in particular to get their feedback on these things, and they expressed similar. They voiced similar things to Ben as far as having to work for companies or work on projects where you kind of know the people that you're working for do not support you, just do not support you or your lifestyle, and it's very hard to do that kind of stuff. So they were encouraged to actually hear somebody that's working for something this big talk about that. And it is a weird mixed bag to have to be in that position.
Right.
So I guess my question to you, Craig, is, Craig, as a person who consumes lots of content and you enjoy video games and movies and things of that nature, how do you feel? Are you able to separate the art from the artist? If it's something that you're passionate about, would you be able to walk away from that IP?
Which we talked about a little bit. I feel like us as black people do that a lot because we know a lot of corporations don't support black people, and particularly BLM when the height of that was going on during the pandemic. How we saw a lot of corporations and a lot of people that we initially thought were on our side did not show us any support in that
for the black
regard. But we still consume that content. We still buy those products because we separate the art from the artist, and these products meant a certain thing to us, so we associated these products with a certain amount of joy or memories that we have ourselves as people in general.
Right. It's
Have you watched the interview, Otis? What did you think?
I have not watched the interview yet. I need to, but I mean, I've had a lot of discussions on the subject matter in general, just because I have a lot of friends that are in the LGBTQ community. My sisters are on the spectrum, so I mean, I have a lot of mixed feelings about it, just because like without that project, like certain people wouldn't even have a job in the first place.
Right.
So like like in that aspect, I do want to support the game to a degree, just because I mean like people need money, and then like if it's going towards something that I actually enjoy and a game that I actually would want to play myself, like
we talked to Ben about that in particular. The people that worked on the game got paid commission, so they already been paid for it. They're not getting any royalties after the fact. They've been paid.
Right.
That was really Ben's big thing, is that people on it have been paid. They're not getting any royalties for it, so he's not going to encourage people to buy the game because everybody's been paid. The only people getting paid from that are people getting royalties like JK or like Warner Brothers. Is it Warner Brothers that owns that?
Warner Brothers owns it.
Yeah,
it's part of the studio.
They're the only ones getting royalties off of that game, but all the developers and voice actors and people of that nature have already been paid their commission for that project.
Yeah. But again, like like say if they were to do a second one, like if this one doesn't move, they won't make it the second one, and those people will not have another project to work on for that particular studio. So meaning like there's a lot that goes into it, obviously, but
it's
me
a
myself
big
personally,
decision.
I am going to play the game just because it's like something that I've been wanting in my personal life for a while.
Right.
But like I do thoroughly support us like not promoting that. I don't want to do like I'm not gonna be doing like a Harry Potter stream. I'm not gonna be shouting out on the page or any of my channels personally.
Right.
But I do think that is a decision that should be left up to the individual person. You can't
Exactly.
really judge people for being one way or another because it is a personal thing.
Right.
It is a personal thing.
Agreed. That's how I feel too. It's very personal across the board. And Ben wasn't outright saying, "Don't play the game." He was pretty much just saying
His
voicing
personal
his
preference.
opinion,
Yeah.
his personal preference. And you're right, Otis, that he expressed in the interview that he was at a very, very low point in his life, and he literally couldn't afford food. And he was struggling to decide whether he should take the job working on this project because there were things he knew that he wasn't in support of, but he had to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And I as a professional writer myself, I get that there are tough decisions you have to make in order to survive in this industry. I completely understand that. So there is no real judgment in that end. There isn't. There really isn't.
Right. Craig says in response, yes, he can separate the art from the artist. They did a draft, what it sounds like draft, label draft on their on the What It Sounds Like podcast. I go check that out on Facebook. I can't remember what day they do it exactly, but Thursdays
at 7 p.m. Eastern.
At 7 p.m. Eastern. They did a label draft, and he said he chose R. Kelly for his label. He did not promote the negative. He did no part, but he did appreciate the art. Which I felt kind of a similar way with R. Kelly when it comes to his music. I grew up hearing his music in my grandparents' home and cars and things like that, so I have a lot of happy memories with my family attributed to that music in particular. So it's something where like I'll have a song or two on a playlist, and I just won't play it around other people. But when I'm home alone and I want to just kind of feel good, I'll play some of those songs and still kind of just. It's weird. It's a really weird thing to do, especially with somebody that's done something that heinous and malicious and fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think like in that music label draft, I wonder if their criteria was just solely off of the music or like how much money that they would bring to a label. Because like shit, right now R. Kelly is worth -$2 million.
Back then, though, how much he was writing for everybody, and how much music he was like. That man was everything he touched was gold. Whether he was
writing for right now, like he's worth -$2 million.
I don't know when the draft was.
I think that draft was.
It says episode for '90s.
Yeah,
so
it was a historic draft, really.
Right, so it made it.
Yeah, it was '90s artists, but
or '90s artists for today. I see. So you're drafting
for today?
Artists from the '90s for today to actually have on your label today.
At least I think that's what it was.
Okay, if we understand, I mean, we may be off, but
but if it's that, and it's like shit, that's you starting $2 million in the hole.
Yeah, I'm still grabbing Michael Jackson. I don't know if anybody had Michael at that point, but I'm still getting Michael Jackson.
Mike was bigger in the '80s than he was in the '90s, though.
He still had massive royalties and things like that, but he wasn't making as much music.
Well, I'm just throwing that nigga on Brown. I'm throwing him on stage with Chris Brown. Have them niggas dance together. Fuck it.
Chris Brown in the 90s? Both the artists you just mentioned are problematic in their own right too. I mean, Chris Brown was beating up folks
like that in the '90s.
This is all.
I think he was born this like in the '90s, bro.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot the '90s draft.
No, he wasn't. Born
I'm thinking how we did our label draft, and then we just kind of chose everybody, but I forgot that they chose theirs specifically from the '90s.
Specifically, based on what they're alive. And again, this is what it boils down to. Is that I think. It really is the actual art. Are you able to look at the art or hear the music or watch the movies or anime and say, okay, the biggest example I always go to is Cosby. Cosby's right there front and center in his art. So it's like, I cannot separate those two. It doesn't work that way. With J.K. Rowling, she wrote all the Harry Potter stories. So a lot of people who cannot read those books and separate the two. I get that too. With R. Kelly, you're hearing him sing these notes. You're hearing him sing these music. But you may be able to block it out because you're not seeing his face. Right. So it's different. It's to each their own.
Another point of information I will provide when it comes to that game is that they made it a point that developers did not take any input from J.K. Rowling in developing that game.
No, she wasn't involved.
She wasn't involved in that process at all. She really just gets money because she created the universe in general. That's it.
Right. Yeah, she wasn't there at all.
But you about to say something, Otis?
You know what I'm saying? I feel like the song Bump and Grind has to hit different when you know he's talking about a 14-year-old.
Yeah. How do I tell her stuff like that? It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
But that's it. This has been another episode of the In and Out Podcast, guys.
We're gonna end on that note.
We're gonna end on that depressing ass note. Before we leave, though,
we gotta have better dismounts, man. We gotta play up the dismounts.
Shaboing boing. That help?
That's even worse. That made it worse.
Okay.
Made it worse.
Before we leave, we're gonna plug some stuff. Obviously, a lot of the stuff, anything with Blurred Approved Entertainment on Facebook. A lot of the shows, like we said, the What It Sound Like podcast, the Blurred Cartel. Y'all go check out a lot of their stuff. We make amazing content. A lot of black creators. If you support black content, go support black creators, man. We make good stuff there. I do want to also shout out Small Screen on YouTube. They have a website to do a lot of great stuff. If you want a lot more insight on when it comes to the industry, whether it be movies, animated shows, or anything of that nature, they have sources. They have a lot of good stuff over there, and it's where I get a lot of my news from when we do these articles and reactions to upcoming news. So they have a lot of insider stuff going on there. They do great work.
Shout out to Black Mastodonte as well.
Black Mastodonte.
Our boy Donchi is a good boy. Casually Comics, our girl Sasha Wood over Casually Comics. Love her to pieces. I mean, now both these sites have these channels have much bigger fan bases than us, but still we love these people. So.
Exactly. Also, we have a little plug. We've done interviews with all these individuals, except for we got to get James on for Small Screen at some point. I've told James I'm going to do that like last year.
Yeah.
And we haven't yet, but we're gonna get that done.
I don't think you've known him for a full year yet.
Is it really? It feels like it's been. Well, I met James in the summer. Almost a year. It's coming up on a year because I met him last summer. It's almost a year. Yeah. Support all those projects. We got stuff coming out. Comics in regards to our own stuff. Briarlands is going to make an appearance relatively soon. The Son of Shitan comic is going to come out relatively soon. So we got a lot of great content coming for you guys. So we just thank you guys in support. So if you guys would like, comment, share, and subscribe, help us get to this 1K so we can start getting a lot more content pumped out and we can afford to make higher quality content. It would be greatly appreciated.
And if you yourselves would like to have your own, everyone has a story. But most blurs have a book or an idea in mind. Don't hesitate to hit me up. Hit us up. That's what I do for a living. I help consult people on getting their books made, making your visions a reality. So don't shy away.
Echelonji Novels, people. Echelonji Novels. Check their stuff out.
EchelonjiNovels.com.
Well, this has been another episode of the Then and Now podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time. Shaboing boing.
Boy, Houdini.